Welcome to another of the Fin Talks series of podcasts organised by Finance Malta. I'm Vanessa McDonald and I'm here today with Nes Ozkan.
Hello.
Nes, you're a strategic partnership manager for Rudiq.
Correct.
You're also involved in other associations like the Digital Euro Association. But the reason we're here today is to talk about your speech at the Finance Malta Conference. And you had a line there which intrigued me. Tokenized funds, the next frontier in fund management.
Exactly.
Okay. Tell me, what is tokenization?
Of course, let's start from the basics, Vanessa. Well, tokenization is turning real-world assets like funds, real estate, commodities into blockchain, via blockchain, into tokens. And it has several potential use cases that are benefited via different industries. Like it enables faster settlements. For example, in traditional finance, you need to wait maybe T1 or T2 until you get liquidated when you're redeeming your funds, right? But with tokenization, what we call is atomic settlement. Instantly, you can redeem your funds, you can receive your money, you can cash out your investments. This is one of the benefits of tokenization. The other one is you will have global access with tokenization. Even if you are a fund structured in Europe with licensed regulated bodies in globe, like in UAE, in US, also in Singapore, you will have access to their investor databases thanks to broker dealers working there. So it brings global access. It also gives operational efficiency, instant settlements, and the other thing is portfolio diversification, and this will pretty important in our case because so far we are seeing a great convergence among traditional investors with digital asset investors, and this gap is closing every other day. And with that, with tokenization, portfolios can start investing in digital assets thanks to tokenization as well.
It's very interesting because one of the things I read in one of the reports is that there are 75% of asset managers who plan to increase their holding of digital assets.
Exactly.
This year alone.
Yes.
But it's still quite a new thing. There's $35 billion out of 147 trillion in assets. So it's still quite a new thing.
It's still quite a new thing, but the reality is it accelerates a lot in the last couple of 2 years. So far,
just in 2 years, wow.
Exactly, like so far in US, BlackRock, and there are other major players who already tokenized US money market funds, alternative investment funds, and private credit. So market is out there, they are accelerating. Thanks to with this adoption, they're accelerating their speed in terms of reaching out different investors and jurisdictions. So even though numbers still seems quite small, but it's relatively high and relatively exponentially getting bigger every other day.
You mentioned some of the asset classes.
Yes.
Which are particularly of interest for tokenization.
Exactly.
Can we go through those again, perhaps,
Definitely,
in a little bit more detail?
So the idea with the tokenization is also bringing illiquid assets to liquid markets, right? So real estate is one of the common use cases that we're seeing, especially in UAE. However, the majority at this point goes through money market funds, like short-term US government funds, and euro yielding funds and bonds in Europe. And the other scenarios is alternative investment funds, because so far the entry tickets for those funds were used to be higher. But with the operational efficiency that tokenization brings to market, those barriers to invest into AIFs, let's say, they get closer, minimum every other day. So we can maybe group this like this: money market funds, alternative investment funds, commodities, real estate, private credit, and private equity. These are the major asset classes that we can speak about tokenization.
They're almost all regulated.
Exactly. This is something different than cryptos, because even the legislation or regulations are following the tokenized assets are different. Like tokenized funds, they don't fall under MiCAR directly. They fall under MiFID II, which is like securities regulation in Europe. So whether you are dealing with, let's say, RWAs, real world assets, that means that you are dealing with regulated products directly.
Which means there's a lot of consumer protection.
Exactly.
There's a whole framework for it, for regulation, but also legislation. And
exactly, so because you need an issuer, you need a licensed custody. Most of the time, banks are the custodians for those assets. Then you have a broker dealer who holds regulated license in Europe or in other part of the, let's say, world. Because other than that, how are you going to make the transfers? Every party involved in tokenization, let's say, process, they are regulated bodies. Yeah.
We've talked about regulation and so on, but how does it work with regards to jurisdictions? Are there some jurisdictions which are adopting tokenization faster than others?
To be honest, since tokenization literally impacts traditional finance, the leading jurisdictions, we can say Europe has paved the ways with MiCAR and with MiFID II regulations.
Exactly, because they are EU-wide.
Exactly. And the other good thing about Europe, let's say, we have the DLT pilot regime. So if you're a tech company, if you are a fund, with DLT regime, you can start experimenting with tokenized assets. So Europe is kind of leading the way, in my opinion. US, with the latest Clarity and Genius Act, they are also supporting stable coins and tokenized assets, and probably also in US, tokenized assets will follow the securities regulation there. And also in the last couple of years, we are seeing pilot projects from Singapore, let's say Asia in general. Project Agora and Project Guardian, they are exploring tokenized deposits and tokenized funds in particular. So all around the world, we are seeing different jurisdictions leading the way of some particular parts of tokenization. Like in UAE, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, also in UAE, the VARA and also the Dubai Land Registry, they are working together. So you will have real estate, tokenized real estate with the land registry. So as I mentioned, each jurisdiction has their own way of dealing with their regulations, let's say.
Just as cryptocurrency was something for a particular generation, is tokenization linked to generations? Are we going to see more of it because the younger generation is perhaps more open to this idea?
That's a lovely question, because the most important element with tokenization at this point is stable coins. It doesn't, maybe we shouldn't say just tokenization is important with the stable coins. Stable coins in general, they are the bridge between traditional finance with the digital assets, let's say. And we know that Gen Z are holding huge reserves in stable coins. The reason is, out there in the market, they can stake their stable coins, they can earn better than average, let's say, capital market savings or interest rate that they're going to get. And in the upcoming years, what we expect, in order to access tokenized funds, traditional finance players, let's say, they do this thing on and off ramping. So it's conversion of stable coins with currencies, let's say. But Gen Z, since they are crypto native, they can directly connect their wallets, start investing in tokenized assets. So we're expecting that huge acceleration in adoption in the upcoming 3 to 5 years, to be honest.
Fantastic. And what is Malta's role going to be in all of this?
To be honest, I'm very excited to be in Malta because I'm exploring the ecosystem here. To be honest, as I would like to say that Malta has a pioneering and visionary path in the adoption of digital assets. Like, I was in a conference in the early morning and I learned that, even though I know it, it was like a splash to my face. Like, all the licensed exchanges that we know there, they're kind of headquartered in Malta. And in my opinion, given the fund admins here, given the alternative funds, family offices here, in my opinion, Malta will be the next, how do you say it, like Malta's milestone is coming in terms of adapting tokenization with their infrastructure services of investment management. This is what I think.
Certainly, every regulator I speak to, whether it's the MFSA, the Malta Digital Innovation Authority, they all seem to have the same idea.
Exactly.
They really want to try and be the leaders in this field.
And Malta has this potential, as far as I see, because everyone is very innovative here. And the Malta was leading the Europe with the digital assets adoption. And at this point, tokenization will be a core service that every fund administrator here can offer to their fund managers, because Maltese fund shouldn't stay in Malta or just in Europe. With tokenization, any Maltese fund can go to the USA or in Singapore, and that should be the aim, in my opinion.
Well, getting over our size limitation, that's definitely something that we want to do.
Hopefully.
Nes, thank you so much for explaining this to us. I'm sure it will inspire a lot of people out there to look into it.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.